All right, so it's the end of September, and that means it's time for us to set up our October 2020 zero-based budget. So that's what I'm going to be doing today. Stick around to see all the details. All right, guys, we're just going to jump right in and just get into this budget. So the one thing I want to tell you, this is the budget template that we use every single month. I do have it available for sale. If this is something that you like, I have it available for sale in my Etsy shop. It is in both Google Sheets and Microsoft Excel format, so you can get whichever one is best for you. And I have an exclusive video playlist that I share with all of my buyers of my templates. So, and there's other things in my shop as well, so feel free to check it out. I will leave the link to the shop in my description box down below. All right, so let's get started with income. You can see here I have blacked out our regular salaries. I will tell you that while we're going through this, we're going to focus on column C, which is the budgeted column. Anything else that you see to the right of that has no bearing on what we're doing when we're setting up the video. I go through all of those columns when we do a budget report after the month ends. So when you look at our income, of course, I blacked this out. This is our regular salaries that are in here. I do that every month just for, some semblance of privacy. I have no problem sharing the totals. That is what I've been doing from the very beginning, but I just don't share the line items. I've already made adjustments to reflect what our salaries will be. So Matt's still off work since being on a leave of absence since the middle of July. And so his income is greatly reduced. And so we have had to make adjustments in August and September, and now we will have to do the same in October because he's not going back to work until the middle of October. And so again, greatly reduced pay for him in October. We're hoping November will be our first month of him back in the full swing of things. Now, he does have a disability policy and he has filed for disability. There is a 30-day waiting period, so it won't start until mid-August, and we haven't received the first payment yet, but we do expect it to be for half of August and all of September, and we expect to receive it in October sometime. So let me add his disability income here. I'm going to go right over the top of Owen's place and do disability Matt, and we expect that to be $28.50. And then I was also off in September, which affects my first check in October. So now my income is reduced as well. And if you haven't already heard or seen or read about what's going on with this, I got COVID in August while I was caring for my parents. And so they both got it. I went down to care for them because they were both very sick. And then I ended up getting it. I was hospitalized. My dad was hospitalized too. We both ended up getting pneumonia on top of the COVID. What that means is, so I worked the first week that I was sick. My symptoms started on August 31st, and I worked that whole first week through the 4th. And then on Tuesday, September 8th, I ended up going to the hospital. I got really, really sick over the weekend. My recovery's been a long haul. I am not back to work yet. It's the end of September, but I am planning on going back on October 1st. I'm about probably 80% back to normal at this point. And it's just going to be a long haul because my lungs were definitely impacted by COVID. It just really tore through my body and got a hold of my lungs big time. So I missed a total of 3.5 weeks of work. There is a 7-day waiting period for my disability plan, and then I'll be paid by my short-term disability. I pay for my short-term disability plan. That's why there's only 7 days, where Matt doesn't pay for his. It's a benefit provided by his employer, and that's why there's a 30-day waiting period for him. So I need to add in my disability income because I'm pretty sure I'll get that in October, and I believe it's going to be this or somewhere near that. Plus I have the budget bounce in here. I have $13.24 that'll be pulled in to cover my monthly subscriptions. So when you add all of those things together, then, and there's one other thing we're going to get. I made a call today about a debt that we have that we've been making payments on, so we didn't get sent to collections. They actually finally, the insurance company paid that claim in full. And so now they owe us $252. So, so that's going to be $252.41 coming in. So that brings our total bucket that we're going to be working with to $10,422 for the month of October. All right, and then in giving, I have the details blacked out, but we do plan on doing $50 in October, so that's already all set. All right, then in housing, I have one change that I have to make. Our mortgage went up just a little bit. It's going to start on, let's see here. Yep, there we go. It's going to start on October 1st. Our next mortgage payment will go up by, I think it's like $20 or $21, and that's because our escrow changed because we had to change homeowners insurance last year and it went up. So that's going up just a little bit, and then everything else will be the same. It'll be $135 for our gas and electric utilities, nothing for water, garbage, sewer. We'll pay $185 for mobile services and then $101 for internet, bringing our total to $1,497. All right, next up is transportation, and we're going to make a couple of changes here. I'm going to change gas to $300 because we've been using more. Also, OnStar will be the same at $21, and then we're going to add $80 for repairs for the Lucerne. We've got an oil change and tire rotation to do, so that'll bring our total transportation to $401 for October. And then moving into food, we've got groceries. I'm going to do $500 for groceries, and I'm going to do $150 for dining, bringing the total to $650. In the Henry category, we don't have any plans for any expenses, but sometimes things are popping up for him occasionally for school. We just help him out whenever that pops up. And then pets, we're going to make a couple of changes. So I don't plan on buying, there's no grooming necessary. We won't have to buy any food or meds, we hope. But our vet is going to be $150. That's going to be because we have to take our cat to in for her annual checkup for all her shots and stuff. So it may be a little more than $150, but that's what I'm going to plan on for now. And we'll have a sinking fund to help cover that. All right, in insurance, we're going to go ahead and change medical to $651, dental to $32.25, and life to $92.12, and then union dues will be $0, like they should be. And the reason why I'm changing those is because we will need to pay for 3 different paychecks worth of premiums during the month of October. So it'll be the second check for September and both checks for October. So we know that's going to happen. I'm just going to go ahead and plan on it. That brings our total insurance to $988 for the month. Nothing else is changing. In entertainment, streaming will stay at $20, HP Inc. at $3, Cinemark, if they charge us, will be $10. I'm going to go ahead and plan on it. And excuse me, I'm getting really scratchy, so it's hard for me to talk right now. I apologize. So, and in family entertainment, I'm going to change this to $100. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to attend this year, but we are planning on taking our granddaughter to a local apple orchard. They're making their horses into unicorns, and she is nuts for unicorns. So it's a big apple orchard a little over an hour away, and we went to it. We've gone to it, I think, a couple times before. And while there are some that are local, this one is just huge. It's got so much stuff for kids, and she is going to be 3 in November, and just she's at such a fun age right now, and everything is just, seeing the world through her eyes is really fun. So we're allowing $100 for that. We planned on that from the get-go. In 2020, we knew we were going to be taking the family out to something like that this year. So $100 it is, and that brings our total entertainment to $134. In health, we'll have our flexible spending for $437, gym for $35, healthcare for $50, and that brings the total to $522. And then in extras, I'm going to remove all of this stuff, and we need to add a couple of things. Let's go look at the annual expenses spreadsheet. All right, you can see here the annual expenses spreadsheet. It starts in January. It goes off the outside of the frame here. So let me move this over so you can see October. Okay, and I'm going to move me down here. We're going to filter on the month of October and see what's coming up. And bear with me here. I apologize. Links. Okay. All right, so we've got a couple of different things showing up here. So first of all, we've got our granddaughter's birthday coming up. And so I've already accounted for that in the gift section. And then in the next line, we have the McAfee renewal. So this is the year that we're going to be renewing that. So it'll be $115, maybe a little more, but it'll be around that. And so I need to account for that. And then we have the family event for the apple orchard. And I originally put 150 in here, but I took it down to 100 because of our circumstances right now with our income. So I've already accounted for that in the family the family entertainment line in entertainment. So I need to get this McAfee in there. So let's go back over to the budget and add that in here. And we'll plan on 115. So that brings our total extras to 115. And then the next section is the crap I forgot about that, which I hardly ever use anymore. I did have something sneak up on me this year, but there's only been one thing the whole year. So anyway, so that's great for those two categories. All right, next up we have envelopes. And so we do 40 spending for each, me and Matt, for the month. I'm going to change household to 125 and miscellaneous to 125. I'm just embracing what's been going on with us, and I'm just going to allow us to have a little bit more this month so that it doesn't so hopefully we can actually stay under it this time. So that brings our total envelopes to 330. And the budget balance, I don't have any plans for anything except for my regular monthly subscriptions that are $13.24. And I noted that I'm going to pull that in from my the budget balance checking account to cover those subscriptions. So that's not coming out of our personal household money. So $13.24 is the total for the budget balance. All right, next up we have savings, and I'm going to make some changes here because in August and September, we did hardly any savings at all. But now that our disability payments are going to be coming in October, I want to make sure that I'm doing some things in savings. So first of all, you can see our current balance is around $4,150 for our emergency fund. And we really want that to be $5,000. So I'm going to put $850 in that. And so you can see this formula. Once I put 850 over to the side and get that in there, this will populate automatically. But you can see if I enter it here, it takes us to 5,000. That is something that we really, really want to get to. And we're really hoping we don't have to tap into our emergency fund during all of this. So far, just not putting money in our sinking funds has helped us and bridge the gap enough that we've been able to get through each month. But we'll see how this all plays out. So we want to put $850 into the emergency fund. I'm going to do 50, to Henry. I'm going to do 200 to Nikayla because I know we're going to be buying some clothes for her soon. And so I want to bulk that up a little bit. And then we're going to do 65 to our daughter, Xanthi. And then it'll be $10 to M1 Finance. And then Matt won't have anything in his retirement. And I'll have $213. And so that brings the total to $1,388. All right, next up we have sinking funds. This is one of my favorite categories. I like to build these up. These give me a sense of security. My financial security gland is a lot quieter when these are bulked up. That's a totally different philosophy than I know many people have when you have debt, but this is what helps me sleep at night. This is what I need to sleep at night. So let's just run through here and see what we're going to do. We have $230 to auto insurance. I'm going to change auto registrations to 30. I am not putting anything in business travel. $80 to city utilities. Clothing, I'm going to do 40. Estate planning, I'm going to do 25. Gifts, I'm going to put 100. Holidays, I'm going to do 200. I skipped Henry School, sorry. 200. Nothing in Henry School. And then an image, we're going to do, I think that's going to stay at 40. Life insurance, 81. Healthcare, I'm not going to put anything in. One check ahead, I'm not going to put anything in. Pet expense, online subscriptions will be 80, pet expense will be 100. The budget bounce, technology is going to stay at 25. The budget bounce will be 300. And vacation, we're not going to put anything in. Vehicles will be 150, and then wedding will be 30. And that brings our total to $1,511 that we are planning on putting into sinking funds. Now, on the flip side of that, we also need to account for things that we are going to pull out of sinking funds for. So what we need to do here is, I know in online subscriptions, I'm going to have 115 for that McAfee subscription. And then in pet expense, I'm going to pull 150 out for that. And then in vehicles, I'll pull this up a little bit so you guys can see it. Vehicles will be 80. And that'll bring our total to 345. Now, what happens when I do that is there's a formula in the income section that now pulls sinking funds in, because it's referencing that cell that I just showed you with the total and pulling that in. So that's actually increasing our total income by $345. So it makes our bucket $10,767. So when we go back down here, there's that 345. Next up is our debts. So I'm not going to go into a whole lot of detail here. This first section is paid off. These are 100% paid off debts that we don't deal with anymore. They are $31,502. We have some charged off debts here in the middle, $9,547. And then we have our actively paying, and that's what we need to be paying attention to right now. So we're going to change Medic EMS to 0. We're going to change Care Credit to 850. We're going to change, this one's going to stay the same at 25. UAS loan is 55, Lowe's 190, HELOC 200, car payment 550. I think child support will be about 100. I think that's all that's going to be left in Matt's check, if he has anything at all. And then family loan will be 200, and we're not going to put anything into student loans. And that brings our total debt payments to 2,170. Now let me go back up here and talk about Care Credit for a minute. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to call and try to settle this. We owe $1,300 as of the end of September, and I'm going to call and try to get this settled for, I'm hoping for closer to half, but I'm going to start at 600 and see what they come back with. So I'm going to call and try to negotiate this down and be done with it in October. I'll let you guys know how that goes. All right. So when we look at this and look at our totals, you can see our total expenses are $10,122, but our income is going to be $10,767. And so that leaves us with $644 remaining. And we use a zero-based budget, so that what that means is we're giving every dollar a purpose, a name, a job, call it whatever you want. We're giving it some direction before we get it, so we have our roadmap laid out. So $644 is a lot left over, and it's because we're getting those bulk disability payments it's changing things. So anyhow, I need to put this $644 somewhere. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add another $250 to the emergency fund. So I'm going to make this $1,100. And then I think what I'm going to do with the rest of it, I've also added $200 to the budget bounce so that we can see that. And then I have $394 left. So I think what I'm going to do here, I think I'm going to throw that onto the private student loan that has interest accruing on it to maybe make a little bit of a dent in that. So let's make that $449.71. And then that takes our over under to 0, which is right where we want it to be. If we don't give every dollar a name and have this roadmap laid out, that's when we tend to get ourselves into trouble. So we are both spenders, And so we need to have this plan or this roadmap to follow. Otherwise, we will just wander around spending money and wondering where it all went. And that's what we did for 9 years that got us into the mess that we were in when we started all of this in 2018. So while we don't follow this to a T, we have a habit of overspending in our variable spending budgets. It's much better than it would be if we had nothing at all, if we were just winging it. So remember that this template is available for sale in my Etsy shop in both Google Sheets and Microsoft Excel. If that's something you're interested in and you want to take a look at it and see the full functionality of it, then make sure you click on the link below in the description box to my Etsy shop to check that out. Next up, I'm going to be talking about the $42,000 mistake that I made and how it impacted our family. So click on this video right here, just right up here, and I'll meet you over there.